Welcome to a new episode of Building an LGB Garden Railway. Today we are looking forward to digitizing our railway. In the last episodes, we have already shown you or informed you that today we want to show you how we digitally control the switches. And I'll show you that right here on the pad. And how we do that now, indeed, Michael will demonstrate to you again in the garden pergola.
I have also already prepared everything we need to convert the switches from analog to digital. Quickly rewound to one of the last episodes. There, we still drove very traditionally with the vibrant red throttle from LGB, which we had carefully taken from the starter pack. And we had utilized the control panels extensively to switch the railway points and signals via the control panel interface. And we had supplied the control panel with power via a Markland converter, which at that time we still needed for that very purpose. Now, everything will indeed be a bit different, but not necessarily more difficult. In fact, it actually becomes simpler, because we can remove the throttle, eliminate the control panel, and we don't need a converter anymore. And what we had already connected at the switch last time, namely the switch drive mechanism, we can indeed keep that as it is. By doing this, the cables have already been disconnected, because we now need them for something else. I'll just set the switches aside for a moment, because now something new is coming into play, namely a digital decoder that I've brought along here. This digital decoder is indeed actually nothing more than the control panel, just now presented in digital form. This essentially means that switches or signals are now actively being connected here, and interestingly I can also seamlessly connect 4 distinct accessories here again, for instance, 4 switches or 4 signals or perhaps 2 switches and 2 signals. Then we'll take a closer look at what we precisely need for our system. Here at the very front we have the connection once again. Here it is called IN, which stands for input, featuring red and blue. These would now be my 2 primary power cables, and in this specific case I am carefully leading them directly to the CS3. Now we have the great advantage we could either work with clamps again, where we pinch off cables multiple times, or I make it relatively simple now. The CS3 indeed has 2 back connections, one for the normal track and one for the programming track. I'm a bit lazy now. At present I'm not utilizing any terminal blocks or cable distributors. Instead I'm taking the second connection and plugging this specific connection cable in at the back. This action allows us to directly receive the digital signal from the CS3 to the decoder. And now I just take a screwdriver, CS3 is on stop, and clamp these 2 things in there for a moment. Now I need to see why I'm doing this. Let's check if it's correct. It doesn't really matter. Unscrew this, ensuring it's visible on camera as well as possible. So just pull the screw up briefly and then kindly put it in. I sincerely hope it could be clearly seen, right? You can see that quite well, I earnestly hope, yes? Alright, well indeed. And then straight out here, on the other side again, exactly as before. Then it flows once again right here, on this very side. So, the cable should be a bit longer, and now I'm gently screwing it back into its original position, once again. And now, the digital decoder is already seamlessly connected to the CS3. At this moment, I'm not actively engaging with the turnout, but now I'm navigating to the detailed screen of the CS3, simply because I don't need to know much at all for operating this specific digital decoder. I'll just turn on the power at the centralized unit now and can simply go down here where I see my magnetic items without any delay. Here I can now search for a new article. I can now just search for MFX articles here, and now a decoder is already being read out. However, that is not the decoder for the turnout decoder. Rather, that is the decoder specifically for the locomotive that is still actively on the track. But I really don't want to discover the locomotive decoder at this moment. However, I would indeed like to search for a new MFX article, specifically my turnout decoder. That's precisely why I'm currently pressing the search button for MFX articles here and now, and can confidently say, should this particular decoder be assigned a new address, or should it retain its old address? I'm saying now, he should get a new address, he's brand new. Press OK here, and now the CS3 begins its search for new accessories, a process that should soon uncover my MFX decoder, among others, in just a few moments. This isn't just about finding any decoder, it's about finding the right one, like my turnout decoder or my signal decoder, tailored for every possible scenario. So this magnetic article decoder is crucial in ensuring everything functions seamlessly together. So, and as you can clearly observe here, several switches have already been recognized at the very top. I can also reprogram or edit them later on if needed for signals. but I'll just patiently wait a moment now. 4 switches have already been precisely identified here now. I can now also click on that here in the detailed track diagram of the CS3. Just that nothing has happened yet because I haven't connected anything. That's why nothing is happening there. I've briefly disconnected Elke's system due to a second decoder, not recognized immediately. That's why we only connected one here now, so we can sort this out so it also works in the trial setup. And the next thing that comes now is actually just that now I'll just hesitate here for a brief moment to connect the turnout to the decoder now. It's just as simple if we ultimately do it that way. And now I'm carefully taking the orange cable and the white cable here on the side and just securely installing connector A for the first switch. Looks essentially the same on the control panel, or better said on the track diagram here. Sorry, I actually meant to say in the list of magnetic items here on the CS3. So, now I'm actually going to take this here, pull this out momentarily here, so we can make the cable harness a bit rounder so it fits in better. So, let us delve into the matter once more, revisiting the topic at hand with renewed focus and attention, and, in doing so, we aim to deepen our understanding and appreciation of the subject matter. Firstly, 1, 2, 3, it absolutely has to go in there, so now without further ado, the orange cable is simply, yet very carefully screwed in tight right here. And the bright orange cable, or the white cable, goes right next to it, precisely where it belongs. So, here on the side, then I'll firmly secure it up in a moment. So now, it is properly connected, and now I ultimately just have to go to the carefully connect the cable from the decoder to the soft drive located right here. It's essentially the same game, just as you remember it. Orange and white I quickly, yet with deliberate care, adjust and then securely firmly screw on here, right at the side. I'll continue a bit now, so it can be observed more clearly on camera. I'll proceed to insert this here on the orange side, then screw this in, ensuring the cable is firmly secured and cannot slip out. This action is simply to guarantee the cable's secure placement. That fits, and then I'll briefly summarize it in there, and I have to unscrew that first. So, now, carefully put it in, and now meticulously screw it back on. And if I've executed everything correctly now, and we don't encounter any demonstration effect, then this turnout should also seamlessly switch digitally when I press stop now, because I have the turnout right here with me. Decoder, or the magnetic article decoder, is directly connected to the CS3. The turnout is also linked to the turnout drive. Additionally, I have thoroughly examined the magnetic article decoder. Upon activation, I promptly restore the power of the CS3. Now, if you click here on the turnout, it becomes unmistakably apparent. My turnout synchronizes with the CS3 each time I press here, demonstrating the system's seamless operation. And now I could just go here to edit magnetic articles on the top side, and could also edit the comprehensive article list, and could even change this very first turnout we have here, and could ponder, what exactly should this be? Should that be a left turnout, or should it rather be a right turnout, or is it possibly a double slip switch, or is it ultimately not a switch at all, but actually a signal? Then, we can also select these particular articles here on the right, and then accordingly insert them into our track diagram later on, because we can later also visually operate everything on a tablet with the CS3 here, or just comfortably sit here on the terrace. Yes, that was actually the whole artwork here. And this magnetic article decoder, we can now also install it directly in the system. Maybe put a little house on top, and then it's well constructed too. Moreover, it is also weatherproof, just like the turnout drive and the turnout. That means all this can go out into the garden. We'd better take this under the pergola or into the living room, and then maybe connect it to the network here via Wi-Fi or with the LAN cable through the tablet. And then we're actually quite well provided for. In the next episode, we'll show how it works with the signal, and then we'll continue to build our system further. Everything you need for that we've also linked in the description under this video. If there are any questions, just drop them in the comments.